Okay, are you ready to learn DevOps engineering? Then this lecture is for you. In this lecture, you will learn how to set up a custom VPS server with full control and configure Nginx and deploy a Next.js app. We'll also automate the entire process using CI/CD with GitHub Actions. So the topics which will be covered in this lecture are setting up a custom VPS server from scratch, then installing packages for a smooth deployment, securing your server with best practices, installing and configuring Nginx as a web server, then setting up a reverse proxy for your Next.js app, and managing firewall rules to allow web traffic. Then for domain and SSL setup, we'll look how to point your custom domain to your VPS server. We'll also look how to enable HTTPS with a free SSL certificate, which is offered by Let's Encrypt. We'll use certbot for that, and that would include automatic SSL renewal for hassle-free security. We will implement 301 permanent redirects, so it should redirect HTTP domain to HTTPS domain and from www domain to non-www domain. Then we will do CI/CD pipeline with GitHub Actions to automate the entire deployment process. So every time you push code to a repo, the server updates automatically. This includes setting up GitHub Actions for automated deployment, building an Next.js production bundle inside the CI/CD pipeline, connecting GitHub to your VPS using SSH, deploying updates automatically upon every push, restarting the server automatically after deployment, handling environment variables securely in production. This video focuses on setting up and deploying a Next.js app efficiently. However, we won't be covering advanced topics like load balancing and scaling applications. We're not going to cover Docker and containerization, Kubernetes orchestration, managing persistent storage volumes. If you are interested in these topics, do let me know in the comments. I'll try to create dedicated lectures for them. So enough introduction, let's begin our DevOps journey. So first of all, we need a VPS to start our DevOps journey. For that, Hostinger is one of the best option. They offer some VPS at a very good price point. So what you have to do is you have to go to your Google Chrome and type this address, which is hostinger.com. You will see this website. Then here in the hosting section, you get a VPS hosting. Click on that, and then you can see here we have the details like the fee for a VPS, which is $6.99 a month. If I click on this choose your plan, you can see all the plans here listed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this most popular KVM2 package. Click on this choose plan button. Make sure you log into the website. So I am already logged in. Then click on this button. As you can see, I am logged in. Then you can choose for how many months you want the VPS. You can choose 1 month, 12 month, or 24 month. I'm gonna choose 12 month. You can see here you can apply coupon code to get more 20% discount, but you don't have to worry about that. I'll put a link in the description. If you click on the link and come to Hostinger and buy this or buy any of the VPS, then you will get a 20% discount. So you will find the link in the description. So I'm gonna choose 12 month. Then you can select the server location. So here you can see there are many servers. For me, it seems India is the best because it has 75 millisecond latency, which is less from the others. So I'm going to select that, and then they will give you option to choose your operating system. So you can go with any of the panel or application. I'm gonna go with the plain OS because for learning DevOps it is the right OS. So I'm gonna go with the plain OS. Then here I'm gonna choose Ubuntu, and it will give you to choose Ubuntu version. So I'm gonna click on this 24.04 and then click on this confirm button. So all the configurations are done. Now you can click on this continue button. Then you can fill up this billing address form and just click on this continue button and do your payment. So let me pause the recording and do my payment, and then I am resuming the video. After your purchase is complete, then you will be redirected to a page like this. There you will see a VPS called KVM2, or the package you bought actually. So in my case I bought KVM2 package, so here the KVM2 VPS is listed. If you buy another package, that would be listed here. Then you can click on this manage button to manage your VPS. You will get a host name here. As you can see, you can change that, and let's say I'm gonna call this adil.dev and click on this change button. So it will update the host name. So while updating host name, you can't do anything on your VPS. So the process is done. So let's go ahead and see what else we do need to proceed. After VPS, we need a domain to continue our DevOps journey. So for domain, we will use namesilo. So in the address bar, write namesilo.com. They provide great service, so we are gonna use namesilo domains. Here you can come and search for your domain. For example, let's say purpledrafts.com. Search domain. So the domain is available, so I'm gonna add that to my cart. It is for $17.29, and you can log in to your account. So I'm gonna put a link in this video description. If you visit namesilo from that description and use the coupon in the description, you will get some discount. So you can do that. After applying the coupon, you will get discount in the checkout page, and you just can log in here and do the payment to buy the domain. As simple as that. You don't need any kind of configuration here. Just give your payment and the domain is yours. As you can see, I bought my domain from namesilo. Here you can see one active domains. If I click on manage, you can see here is my domain, which is purpledrafts.com. So these are the services we need for our DevOps journey. So as we bought our services, now we can start learning the DevOps journey. Then let's go back to Hostinger. Here you can see your VPS information, like the VPS IP address, the host name, then the status, VPS uptime, current OS, which is Ubuntu 24.04, which we selected while buying the VPS, and then you can see the location, the server location, which is India. Now to access this VPS from our machine, we can use SSH access. So go to this tab. In this tab you can see your SSH IP, then your SSH username, root, then your SSH password, then default SSH port, then IPv6, and the terminal command by which we can access this VPS. So here SSH password, if you don't remember any password, you can always click on this change button and set a new password. So I'm gonna set a new password, then click on save. It will say changes in progress, and after the changes are complete, back to the main menu and the VPS, and again manage button, SSH access, then copy this command and open your terminal. Let me zoom this a bit. I can see, I hope you can see properly, and here we have to paste this command. So make sure to copy this properly and paste here, then hit enter. So it will show your fingerprint for this connection, and it will ask you if you are sure want to continue connecting. Just write yes, then hit enter. So here then it will ask for the password. Make sure you give the password what you have gave in the SSH access a minute before. So I'm gonna give my password, and after writing the password, hit enter. You can see we are in our VPS. Now we can access our VPS server from our terminal. Let me zoom this a little bit more. So I hope you can see the texts properly. Now let's see what processes we have to follow. So we want to host our Next.js app. So here I have my Next.js app, which is Purple Drafts. If I open this in Visual Studio Code, it's a basic one-page app, and if I write the npm run dev command and open the localhost 3000, you can see how our web app looks like. So we want to host this app in our custom server and do CI/CD automation. So I'm gonna close this and minimize VS Code and close my file manager. So let's set up our VPS for our Next.js app. So I have written a note for you. Here you can see the note. I will give the note link in the video description. You will find the note in my GitHub account. So we did complete this step, which is writing SSH root and the IP address to get access to our VPS machine. So after we get access to our VPS server, we need to check if some softwares are installed or not. First, we have to check if Nginx is installed or not. So I'm gonna write the command Nginx, then -v. Hit enter. You can see it shows Nginx not found. This means Nginx is not installed. Then we need to check if Node.js npm and git and pm2 is installed or not. So let's check if they are installed. So again, write the command node-v, hit enter. It is also not installed. Then npm-v, hit enter. That is also not installed. Then let's write git -version, hit enter. So git is installed, that's okay. Then let's see pm2 is installed or not. So I'm gonna write pm2 -version and hit enter. You can see it says pm2 not found. So now we have to install these softwares. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write here sudo then apt install Nginx. This is the command to install Nginx and Linux operating systems. So this sudo is for administrative permission, and this apt is the package manager, and we are telling him that to install Nginx. Then hit enter. It will install Nginx. We have to write y, then hit enter. So Nginx hopefully is installed on our server. If I write nginx-v, you can see the version. Then let's write sudo apt install git. So if any latest version of git is available, then it should install the latest version of git. So it is installed. Then we need to install Node.js and npm on this server. So what I have to do is I have to run this command. So I'm gonna copy this from my node and paste here in the terminal. Then hit enter. It will install Node.js and npm on our server. After that, we need pm2, which is a process manager which manages starts, stops, restarts of our app if we do reboot or turn off our server and rerun the server. So it does automatically rerun our app. So we have to install pm2. I'm gonna paste the command, which is sudo npm installed -g pm2 at latest. We are using -g to install this package globally. So then I'm gonna hit enter and it will install pm2 on our server. So the installation of pm2 is complete. So before we move further, let's run two of the command, which is sudo apt update, to make sure all the things in the server is up to date. Hit enter. Then again run the command, which is sudo apt upgrade. Hit enter. Then write here yes. It will install the latest stable versions of all the packages. If you see this, just keep the local version currently installed, then hit enter. So the package upgradation is complete. So let's clear the terminal, and now what we have to do is we have to give pm2 the permission so it can start itself on startup of our server. So for that we have to run the command, which is sudo pm2 startup. I'm gonna copy this and paste here and hit enter. After that we have to write pm2 save to save our changes. Then let's verify our Nginx status, if Nginx is active and running. So for that we need to copy this command and paste here, and if you hit enter, you can see Nginx is running and it is in active status. Then we need to verify if web server ports are open and allowed through firewall. So for that we need to run this command, which is sudo fw status verbose. I'm gonna copy that, and before pasting that here you need to click on Ctrl+C to get out from the Nginx. Then paste that command and hit enter. You can see it says inactive. If you get inactive, then what you can do is you can run the command, which is sudo fw enable, and hit enter, and it will ask permission. Hit write y, then hit enter. Now you can see the firewall is now active and enabled on system startup. So if you run the command sudo fw status verbose again, you can see the status is active. So now we need to run an important command to prevent getting locked out, which is sudo ufw allow open ssh. Then hit enter. You can see it says rule added. If your SSH runs on a custom port, for example 2222, allow that explicitly. So run the command sudo efw allow 2222/tcp, then hit enter. You can see it says rule added. Now we need to allow some necessary services. As our VPS hosts a website or other services, we have to allow some relevant ports. So we need to allow 80/TCP port, then 443 TCP port, and 3306 TCP port, and 21/TCP port. So run the command sudo ufw, then allow 80/TCP, hit enter. You can see rule added. Then we need to allow 443/TCP. You can see rule added. After that, allow 3306 port and 21/TCP port. Then after adding these rules, we have to reload efw. So I'm gonna write sudo ufw reload, hit enter. You can see firewall reloaded. And to ensure efw runs after reboot, we have to run the command sudo systemctl enable ufw, hit enter. Now after every reboot, efw will be automatically enabled. After this, we can exit our VPS server. So write exit, then hit enter. And see, we are out from our server. After that, let's see what we have to do. Then we have to log in our domain provider website. So here you can see we have our domains listed here. Make sure the default name servers are set and you haven't changed them. Then go to your domain, click on that. So here you can see the warning, domain will be suspended soon due to the lack of email verification. So I have to do my email verification. So let's do that. So I'm gonna click on this verify link and the email is verified now. Then if I refresh the page, you can see there is no error. So after that, we have to navigate to the DNS section. So here you can see the DNS section. Then we need to add some records. So let's go to name silo, and here let's edit this. So I'm gonna click on edit, and as you can see, first we have to give the A record. So here you can see type A. Then we have to give the host name, which is @ see @. Then for a value we have to give the remote server IP, so which is this one. So I'm gonna copy this and paste that here, then submit. Then we need to add another A record, so I'm gonna edit this one now. This one is also A record. For host name we have to give www, and again here we have to give the IP address of our server, then submit. Now if your VPS provider gives IPv6 address, you can add them as well. So Hostinger provides that. So in the SSH tab, as you can see, the IPv6 address, which is this one. So I can click on this add a DNS record, and here we can select IPv address, and for host name first we give @ here. Then for the value we copy this address and paste that here, then submit. You can see the record added. I click on this add DNS record button again, and again IPv6 address. Then for host name we're gonna write www, then the IPv6 address again, then just submit. Now it will take some time to propagate the domain pointing server. Now this propagation can take 6 hours to 48 hours. So how you can check that it is completed? For that, in Google, search for DNS checker, then open any of the website, then write your domain name. So if I write here purpledrafts.com and click on search, you can see here it says IP address 91.195.240.126. That means the propagation is not completed yet. If this IP address and the result here matches, then our propagation will be completed. Let's see if 4A or IPv6 address has been propagated or not. Select 4A and click on search. So it looks like IPv6 propagation is complete because this value and this value matches. But the IPv4 or our main concerning one is not propagated fully, but you can see partially the propagation is complete because we get one of the result which is matching this IPv4. Gradually all of the result IP address will become this one. So let's continue our other works. Now we have to copy our project from our machine to our server. So for that, let's take access to our server again. So I'm gonna write SSH root and our IP address. Let's write the password. Hit enter. We are in our server. Then there is two methods by which we can copy our project to our server. First of all, what we can do is we can open our project and run the build command, which is npm run build, and after the build is complete we can make a zip file, and with the scp command we can copy the project from our machine to our server. But that is not the ideal process because it does not allow us to automate the process which we want to learn as DevOps engineer. For that, we have this second option, which is using GitHub. So I'm not gonna show you this process as this is not used in the DevOps culture, and we are gonna use this second method, which is using GitHub. Let's follow the instructions. Open our project in Visual Studio Code, and first of all, create a git ignore file if that is not available, and make sure to ignore node modules folder and your env files where your secret values stays. So like the database URLs and password secrets or the token secrets. As you can see, I have a database URL here, which is a test database URL. Then push your project to GitHub. For that, run git add dot, then git commit, a message which is first commit, then git push u origin main. So we are pushing the update to the main branch and hit enter. You can see the project got pushed to the GitHub. If we go to our GitHub repo, our project repo actually, here you can see it is a private repo. So we have to make connection between the remote server and GitHub repo via SSH key. For that, you have to copy this command and go to your server and run ssh keygen -t then this text, which is the algorithm actually, and you can give your email. For example, let's say my email is adil.test.dev@gmail.com. Then hit enter. I keep that blank and hit enter again. So basically in this folder, which is .ssh, it will create a key with this name because we haven't specified a name explicitly, so it is the default name, and this is just an identifier. Then it will ask for a passphrase. We'll keep that blank. It will ask for the passphrase again. We're gonna keep that blank also. Then you will see the keys random art image. We didn't get any permission denied warning. If you get that kind of error, run this command. As we didn't get that, we can go ahead. So as I told before, in the .ssh folder, we have this key, a public key, and this one, which is a private key. So if I write here cd.ssh, then hit enter, and if I write here ls, hit enter, you can see we have these keys. Now we can run this command to view our key. I'm gonna run cat, then tilde sign, this is called tilde, then /.ssh, and the public key. You can see we have the .pub after the key name, and if I run the command, you can see the key, this long string. Then go to your GitHub repo, which is this one, the project repo actually, and then click on settings, deploy keys, then add deploy key. Then in the add new section, give a title which can be anything, for example git key, and go to your server and copy this whole string, and in the key section paste that. Then click on this add key button. The key is added on your repo. Now go to code section, and here click on this green button, and we have to clone this project in our server. So we can do that with the HTTPS URL or the SSH URL. So click on SSH and copy this URL. Go to your server and go to the root, and here write git clone and give the URL. Hit enter. It will ask for the fingerprint. Write here yes, then hit enter. You can see the project is pulled from GitHub. So the GitHub repo name was purple drafts. So let's see, with running the ls command, we get purple drafts. That means the repo is pulled from GitHub. After cloning the project in the VPS server, we have to create a virtual host file. So for that, we have to run this command. I'm gonna copy this and paste that here, which is sudo nano /etc nginx sites available /purpledrafts.com. So before that, let me show you what we have inside sites available. So let's not run that command. Before that, let's clear the terminal and let's go to this path, which is etc/nginx/site available, and let me show you what we have inside there. So I'm going to write cd, then this path, then hit enter, and if I write here ls, then hit enter, you can see we have only default. But now we need another host file which is for purpledrafts.com. So the number of site you host on this VPS, the number of host file will be there. So let's copy this command and paste this here. Now we will create a host file for purpledrafts.com, and here as you can see we are creating with Nano. So it is an editor, a lightweight editor to write and create some files. So we created this file. Now it giving a editor where we can write the configurations. So for that we can copy this configuration and paste that here. As you can see, it is a server block which listens to port 80, and we are telling that it should proxy pass to port 3000 because we are gonna run our app in port 3000. And for server name, what we have to do is we have to write here our domain. So that was purpledrafts.com. Then again we have to write www.purpledrafts.com. So one is with www, another one is without www. So the work in this file is done. So we can click on Ctrl X. Then it is asking if we want to save. So let's click on Y, then click on enter. So now if I write here ls, then hit enter, you can see before it was only default. Now we have another host file which is purpledrafts.com. Now after that we have to enable virtual host or create a symbolic link of virtual host file. So for that we have to run this command. So let me go to the root of the server and paste the command, and here we are telling it should create a symbolic link in the Nginx configuration, and here we are telling to create a symbolic link with the Nginx configuration. So I'm gonna hit enter. So it created a symbolic link with the Nginx configuration. Then to check if everything is correct or not, we can run this command, which is sudo nginx-t. You can see it says the configuration file nginx conf syntax is okay and the test is successful. That means everything is fine. Now what we can do is we can build our project. So if I write here ls, not here actually, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear the terminal and cd, let me do cd slash, okay, now we are in the root. Now let's write ls. You can see we have our project which is Purple Drafts. So what we can do is to build our project, we can go inside our project. So I'm gonna write cd, then Purple Drafts. Now we are inside our project, and now let's install our dependencies. For that, write npm install and hit enter. It will install the necessary packages. As you can see, it installed the necessary packages, but if you remember, we didn't push the .env file to GitHub. So now we don't have environment variables here. Without them, the project will not work properly. So if I run the command ls, you can see there is no file called .env. Even if I run ls-a, you can see there is no file called .env. So we have to create a .env file here manually. So I'm gonna write nano.env. If you can remember, nano is a editor by which we can create some file and edit them. So if I hit enter, then go to my project and env file, you can see the environment variable. I can copy this, then minimize VS Code and come to my server.env file and paste it. Then click on Ctrl X, then Y to save, then enter. Now we got our .env file here as well. So if I run the command ls-a, you can see the .env file. So now we can run the command npm run build to build our project. So it will build our project in our server. Now we have to create pm2config file inside the project folder. So we are in the project folder, which is purple drafts, and we need to create a pm2config file. For that we have to run nano ecosystem.config.js, hit enter, and here what you have to do is you have to go to the GitHub node and copy this code and paste here. So here we are defining some script. So we are telling the port is 3000 where our app will be running, and we want to call our app as purple drafts, and the script is npm start. So we have to save this now. So I'm gonna click on Ctrl X, then Y, then enter. So after that we have to restart our Nginx service. So for that, copy this command, which is sudo service nginx restart, and run that. Then we need to start pm2 ecosystem config file. For that, copy this command and paste that and run that. As you can see, the status is online, means purple drafts is running. For that, you have to run pm2 save to save the pm2 configurations. Now if I run pm2 status, you can see the status of our project. So if I go to Google Chrome and try to visit purpledrafts.com, it is not showing our project because the DNS propagation has not completed yet. If I go to a DNS checker again and write here purpledrafts.com and search, you see the DNS propagation is not done yet. So let's wait a bit. So what I can do is I can clear this server terminal and pause the recording and wait for the propagation to complete. So the propagation is complete. If we go to purpledrafts.com, you can see our app is now live. Now if you want to update your app, what you have to do is you have to go to your project, and as you can see the title now is welcome to Next.js landing. Let's make this to React.js landing. Now if I save the file, then if I push this code to GitHub, so I'm gonna write the commit message, which will be second commit. Then I'm gonna push this to my main branch. Then after pushing the code to GitHub, we can go to our server. Then we can go to our project folder, which is cd purple drafts. Then what we can do is we can git pull here to bring the updated code. Then we can run npm run build to build our project. After building the project, we have to reload our app using pm2. So how to do that? If I write here pm2 status, you can see our project has the name purple drafts and a ID which is 0. So we can write here pm2 reload, and here either we can write a 0 or we can write here purple drafts, which is the name here. And if we hit enter, the app got reloaded. Now if we go to our output and refresh the page, you can see the title changed from welcome to Next.js landing to welcome to React.js landing. By the way, one thing to keep in mind that as we created .env file manually, so if you add or remove or do any kind of update to the .env file manually here using nano.env, and for example you added call secret, which is string, super unique, and some gibberish, you can say. Then you can Control X, then Y, then enter, and you can git pull your code if you have any updated code there. We don't have any, so it is showing that already up to date. So after git pulling that and updating the .env file, we can again build our app. So let's run npm run build, so it will rebuild our app. So as we have changed .env file, so while reloading the app, we have to use a flag which is called --update -env. So the ultimate command is pm2 reload purple drafts --update -env. This will make sure everything is working fine. Then hit enter. You can see the project got reloaded. So as you can see, every time pushing code to GitHub and logging into your server, then pulling that code, building that, and restarting server is quite time consuming and a bit headache, you can say, because when you will manage multiple VPS server which will include multiple projects, then you have to memorize all the things all the time. So that can be a hassle. So to overcome that, we can use a CI/CD, which is continuous integration and continuous deployment, and we can automate these things, which is the software lifecycle. So before we do that, let's ensure some security things. As you can see, if user visits our site, it says not secure, and if you click on this, it says your connection to the site is not secure. So first of all, we have to make the site secure with a SSL certificate. So let's see what we have to do next. So here we have a guide how to enable HTTPS in your domain hosted on Linux remote server or VPS. So we are gonna use Let's Encrypt, which is a non-profit certificate authority run by Internet Security Research Group that provides X509 certificates for transport layer security encryption at no charge. For that, we are going to use a tool called CertBot. It is a free and open source tool for automatically using Let's Encrypt certificates on manually administrated websites to enable HTTPS. So being in the server, let me clear the terminal, and what we can do is we can install CertBot and the Nginx plugin to begin with. So for that, we have to copy this command, which is sudo apt install. Then we need to install CertBot and Python 3 CertBot Nginx plugin. So let's copy that, paste that here, then hit enter and click on Y, then hit enter. It will install necessary packages. So the installation is done. Then what we have to do is we have to check if the web server ports are open and allowed through firewall. So copy this command and run this. You can see all the ports are allowed. Let me clear the terminal, and now let's obtain an SSL certificate. For that, we have to copy this command, then paste that here. So after that, you have to write your domain here. So in my case, the domain is purpledrafts.com and then www.purpledrafts.com. So as you can see, the full command is sudo certbot -nginx-d purpledrafts.com, and again -d for www.purpledrafts.com. Now hit enter. So it will ask for your email. I'm gonna give my email, which is adil.test.dev@gmail.com, and hit enter. So it is asking if we are agreed to the terms of service. Yes, we agree. Then it is asking permission for sending promotional emails. I'm gonna click N for no. You can see it says account registered, requesting a certificate for purpledrafts.com and www.purpledrafts.com. You can see deploying certificate, and it says successfully deployed certificate for purpledrafts.com and also www.purpledrafts.com. Now let's clear the terminal again and let's check status of certbot by running this command. So copy that and paste that here and run. You can see the status is active, so everything is fine. So click here, Ctrl C to get out from certbot timer. Then here is the issue, which is every certificate gets invalid after 3 months. So we want that certbot should automatically issue a new valid certificate after a certificate gets invalid. So this process should be automatic. So when we did run this command, it became automatic. So let's check if everything is okay, or if the renewal process will work after the certificate invalidation. We can check this by running some simulation. So let's copy this to run simulation and paste that here, then hit enter. You can see it is simulating renewal, and you can see it says congratulations, all simulated renewals succeeded. That means everything is okay. So our HTTPS is working fine. So let me clear the terminal and go to our site. Let me refresh this. You can see the connection is now secure. You can see it has HTTPS instead of HTTP. So even if I try to go to the HTTP domain, certbot will redirect me to HTTPS domain. So it will be always secure for user data. Now this is fine, but another betterment what we can do is we can redirect www domain to the non-www domain. What do I mean by that? So here, as you can see, the URL is https://purpledrafts.com. But if user writes here www. Then hit enter, again the app is visible, but if user expand the URL, you can see it has www. The thing is www.domain, and without www.domain sometimes considered as different domain. So if you are working with Next.auth and if you send a token to purpledrafts.com, that won't be available in www.purpledrafts.com. So these are completely two different sites as the domain are different. So this thing can arise some issues on that case. So it is a best practice to use either of them as our primary domain. So we can use the domain with www or without www. What do I mean by that? I mean we can redirect the user from www domain to non-www domain or vice versa. So we will use one of them. So I prefer the domain without www. So whenever user will come to this domain, we will redirect the user to this domain without www. For this moment, you can see user can go to the www domain as well, as you can see, but we want when user comes to this URL, he should be navigated to this URL. So to do that, what we have to do is we have to go to our server. Then let's go inside cd, then etc/nginx/sites available. Why this command is not working? So let me clear the terminal again and let's go to the root and let's see now if it works. So let's write cd etc/nginx, then sites available. Okay, Now we are in the directory. So if I write ls here, you can see we have the default virtual host file and the purpledrafts.com virtual host file. So we have to configure some things in this virtual host file. So for that, we have to open that with nano. So let's write nano, then purpledrafts.com. It will open the server configurations. So here you can see there is 2 server blocks. So this one, you can see here we have the port 443, which is SSL enabled, means it is responsible for HTTPS domain. It is managed by certbot. And if we go to the bottom server block, you can see here the port is 80. This means it is responsible for HTTP requests. So as you can see here, a configuration which says if the request is HTTP, not HTTPS, because you can see it is 80. So if it is without HTTPS, means host is without HTTPS and the domain is www.purpledrafts.com, then it is doing permanent redirect 301. So if a HTTP request comes to www.purpledrafts.com, it redirects to HTTPS, then host, which is www.purpledrafts.com, then the other URI. So for this one, where host is purpledrafts.com without www, we can write host, because it will navigate the user to https purpledrafts.com. But if we want to exclude the www domain, then we have to change this $host to purpledrafts.com without www. Otherwise, if we write here with $host, it will just use this value. So instead of writing here $host, here we are gonna write the URL manually. So let's go there and let's clear this $host and just write purpledrafts.com without www. So this HTTP server block will redirect the user to https purpledrafts.com whenever a request will come, and this one as well. But let's say if a request comes to HTTPS site which includes www, then we have to redirect there also. So for that, we have to configure that in the first server block. So I'm gonna copy this portion and go to the HTTPS server block, and here I'm gonna paste that. So here I'm telling if the port is 443, means the request is HTTPS, and if the host contains www, then remove www and do a permanent redirect to the domain without www. So after doing that, we can save the file. So we can do Ctrl X, then Y to save, then hit enter. Then let's see if Nginx configuration is okay by running sudo nginx -t. You can see syntax is okay, test is successful. So now let's run sudo systemctl reload nginx, and then let's run sudo systemctl restart nginx. Now let's go to our site and refresh the site. We are in purpledrafts.com without www, and if user tries to go to www.purpledrafts.com, let's see what happens. You can see our server redirected the user to the non-www domain, and if we try to visit HTTP domain without HTTPS, still it redirects the user to the HTTPS domain. Again, let's check. If we put here www, then hit enter, you can see server redirects him to non-www domain. So these things are working fine. Now let me clear the terminal, and let's assume that your Next.js app or site has a form which uploads file, and you want to control the maximum file size in the upload functionality. So for that, again, you can go to /etc/nginx/sites available. Then you can do nano purpledrafts.com and open this config file again. And what you can do is you can go to the node and copy this line, which is client underscore max underscore body underscore size is 100 MB. So you are telling that user is able to upload maximum 100 MB files, and paste that here. Then just click on Ctrl X, then Y, then enter to save the file. And again run sudo systemctl reload nginx and restart nginx. Let's go to the root folder. Let's see what we have to do next. So our betterment is done and it's time for our CI/CD part. So now we will do automate Next.js project deployment using GitHub Action. So what is GitHub Action? Let's see that first. So if I go to my repo, you can see, if I open my repository, you can see the tabs. Here we have a tab called Actions. You can create actions from this GitHub UI, but we are gonna create actions by writing code. So these actions will run after pushing our code, and it will tell the server to do certain things. So let's see how to set up GitHub Actions. For that, let's view our node. Let's see what it says. So it says, on your local machine, open your project using VS Code or any editor. So let's open our project in Visual Studio Code. Let me zoom this. And it says, create a folder named .scripts inside your root project folder. So the root project folder is purple drafts. So there, let's create a folder called .scripts. Then hit enter, and then it says inside scripts folder create a file with .sh extension. For example, deploy.sh. You can name this anything you want. I'm gonna call this deploy.sh. So in this folder, let's create the file which is deploy.sh. Then let's go to the nodes and copy this code and paste that here. So what we are doing here, let me save this first. You can see here, first we are telling to echo or print deployment started. Then we are telling to run a command which is git pull origin main. So if you have master branch instead of main, use master here. I'm using the main branch. So if I go to the repo and in the code, you'll see my branch is main. So if your branch is master, then use that. And if you want to use another branch, you can write that here. Then after running this command, we are telling to echo or print new changes copied to the server. After that, we are telling to print installing dependencies. And after that, run the command npm install --yes. Then again, print creating production build. So it will print these statements in GitHub Actions tab, so we can track all the things without visiting a VPS server. So after printing that, run the command npm run build, rebuild our app. Then we are telling to print that pm2 reload and execute the command pm2 reload. And there we can give the ID of our project or the name. So if I write here pm2 status, you can see our project has name purple drafts and the ID 0. You can use either of them. So I'm gonna use the ID. So let's write 0. And after completing this, we are telling to print deployment finished. So after that, let's see what we have in the notes. So it says go inside .scripts folder, then set file permission for sh file. So let's copy this command and open the file section and click on the scripts folder and right click here and click on this open in integrated terminal. So it will open this folder in integrated terminal and run that command. Hit enter. So it gave the permission so it can be executed on the server. And let's go to the other terminal, which is inside purple drafts folder. Then we have to create another folder in our root folder with the name .github. Inside that, we have to create another folder with the name workflows. And inside that folder, we have to create a file called deploy.yml. Let's go to our node. You can see after creating the YAML file, we have to copy this code and paste that here. So let me explain what this code means. So we are giving a name here, deploy. You can name this anything. Then we are telling if any push happens to the main branch, then on the server, do a pull request on the main branch. So if your branch name is master or anything else, you write that here, but here it should be master. And here we are using some secret variables which will get value from GitHub. We'll set these values in GitHub soon. So for that, we have to go to our GitHub repo here and then go to settings. Here you will see a section which is secrets and variables. Expand that and go to actions and click here to add new repository secret and give a name of the secret. You can call this anything, but these names like host, username, port, SSH key, this should match these ones. So first, let's create the host secret. So I'm gonna call this host. You can name this anything, but this one and this one should match. Otherwise, it will fail to do the task. So the host will be our VPS server IP. So let's copy this IP and paste that here and click on add secret. Then let's add another secret with the name username, and for secret value we'll give root. As you can see, our username is root. If you use other services other than Hostinger and you do not have the infos listed like this, what you can do is you can go to your server and run the command who am I, and it will tell that you are root. So add root as a value. Then add the secret. Then we want to add another repository secret, and what we have then, and that is port. So for port, you can see the port here. Default SSH port is 22 in Hostinger, but it can vary for other service provider. To check, you can run a command which is this one. So if you run this command, it will say what is your port. Use that port here. In my case, it is 22. I'm gonna add the secret. For that, let's create our last secret, and that is SSH key. As you can see, the last secret is SSH key. Now for that, we have to create a key in our server. So let's see how to do that. So in the notes, you can see the command to generate SSH key for GitHub action. So copy this command and paste that. So we are creating this key inside .ssh directory with the identifier GitHub action autodep. You can name this anything. It is the algorithm, and you can see the name of the key. If you don't specify the key, it will replace the previous key we created. So give the name GitHub action, and for identifier write GitHub action autodep, then run this command. Keep that blank, we don't want any passphrase. Give this one blank as well. So the key got created. Let me clear the terminal. Then what we have to do is we have to copy the public SSH key which we created now. So if I do cd.ssh and if I write here ls, you can see the key we created earlier. So to copy this, we have to run this command. So paste that here and run the command. You will see the public key. As you can see, it has .pub after the key name. So you have to copy this. After that, open this file, which is authorized keys, and paste this copied text there. So I'm going to write nano authorized underscore keys, and here I'm going to paste that copied string. Then I'm going to click on Ctrl X, then Y, and enter to save the file. After that, now we have to copy the private SSH key. So run this command. You can see we don't have that .pub suffix. That means it is the private key. So if you hit enter, you'll get this private key. Copy this whole private key and go to your repo, and here give that private key as the secret value. Then click on this add secret button. So our CI/CD pipeline is almost ready. Let's see what we have to do next. So if we go to our project, these two files are to be executed on the server, but these are not available in the server. So for the first time or for the last time, we have to push this code to GitHub and manually pull that on our VPS server. After that, we don't have to do that again. So for this time only, let's make a change to this title, which is React.js landing to Next.js landing. Let's push this to GitHub with the commit message, which is third commit. Then let's push this to the main branch. Oops, I forgot to save the file. So let's save the file. Again, let's push this to GitHub and let's go to our repo. You can see we have these folders, and if we go to the actions tab, you can see we have our actions. Action is currently running. So the first one got failed because it did not found these two files in the server. So what we have to do is we have to go to our server and go to our project folder, which is purple crafts. Then we have to do git pull, and let's do npm run build. Then let's restart our app. So pm to reload 0. Now if I do ls, actually I have to do ls-a. So let me clear the terminal and write ls-a. You can see we have that .github folder, then we have .scripts folder. Let me clear the terminal, and now what we can do is we can go to our project, and let's say here the title is Next.js landing. What we can do is we can make this Next.js landing with tailwind. Save the file and let's push this to GitHub, and let's see if the automation works perfectly or not. So let's push this. So the commit message would be CI CD, then push to origin main and go to our GitHub action page. So you can see the action got triggered. You can view that and see what is happening on the server. So it is throwing an error, which is this folder is not available. So we did a mistake in our deploy.yml file. Here we are telling that to change the directory and go inside project folder name, but we do not have any kind of folder in our VPS server with this name. The project folder name is actually purple drafts. Then after going to this directory, find .scripts folder, and inside that you will have a deploy.sh file. Execute that. So let me save this, and again we have to go to our server and manually pull this, hopefully for the very last time. So let's first push this with the commit message cicd2. Let me push this, and let's go to our server and let's do git pull. Okay, so now let's see what actions we have in our actions tab. So you can see this is the action which is executed recently, and it also failed. But as we updated our deploy.sh file, let's view what we have inside this. So it says permission denied, means we didn't give deploy.sh file to be executed. Now to resolve this, we have to run another command, which is this one. So let's copy this and go to our project folder and paste that and run the command. So now if we go to our actions tab, and here you can see a button which is rerun jobs. Click here to trigger the action without pushing code from your local machine. So I'm gonna click on this rerun all jobs, and let's see if that works. So it started running the script. Let's view this and let's see what is happening there. You can see it says deployment started, which is this message. Then it did git pull. Here you can see git pull origin main. So it built our project and restarted our app using PM2. So as you can see, the green check, that means our automation is working perfectly and the CI/CD pipeline is now on action. So let's go to our site and refresh this. You can see the title changed from React.js landing to Next.js landing with Tailwind. Again, let's check if our CI/CD pipeline works perfectly or not. So let's change something on our project. For example, instead of Next.js landing with Tailwind, let's write here, welcome to DevOps Engineering. Save the file. Let's push this to GitHub with the commit message CI/CD final test. Hit enter, then push this to the main branch. We'll do nothing on our server. Let me close this and let's go to our repo. In the actions tab, you can see the CI/CD final test, which is the commit message we used recently. So this pipeline is ongoing. Let's see what is happening there. You can see successfully executed commands to all hosts, and you can see the green check mark. That means our site got updated without following manual process. So let's go to our site and let's see if the site got updated or not. If I refresh the page, you can see title, which is welcome to DevOps Engineering. How cool is that? That means now we can just push code to our GitHub and we don't have to worry about pulling that on our server, building that and restarting our app. All will be taken care by GitHub Action with the automation script. So that was all for today. If you want, we can learn further DevOps engineering with Docker Kubernetes. Then we can cover load balancing, volumes, and all the other things. For that, do let me know in the comment section what you want to learn next. I'll try to create dedicated lectures on those topics. And I observed a thing, that is 93% of the audience of my channel haven't subscribed to my channel. So please do consider to subscribe and like this video and share with your friends. So that's all for now. See you in the next one.